Okay. Good morning.
Oh, until one, do you know why? Uh, okay, yeah, because I was helping my friend to move some stuff around. Yeah. So at that night, and yeah, probably I was getting pissed at that time. So
क्लास स्टार्ट हो जाए
like, yeah, so that was like my. So I just went there and helped with some stuff, and probably that's yeah. So I came back around like 12:30.
Oh, that's good. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, like
Nice to
Morning,
see
sir.
you.
like like there was some
Same here, sir.
stuff, so I was.
Mute करिए। So people still have a few minutes to arrive. I'm not sure how many people are here now. 17 out of 25. So we're getting there.
ओके सर। हाँ, सिक्योरिटी का कोर्स करना कर लूंगा ना। ओके। अच्छा, ठीक है।
So I take it for some of the people in the meeting, this is morning. And for some of you, it's about 9:30 in the evening. Maybe you could put in the chat box what time it is for you. right. Yeah, about 9:30. So we have 21 people here and we have 25 in the class. Well, now we're up to 22. That's good. So we may as well start the class because anyone else joining us can just jump in when they get online. So welcome to Business Math. Is this the first class you've had, or did you have a class on Monday?
We had a class on Monday.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So, do you have the agenda that I sent out?
Yes, we do.
Yes, okay, that's good. I'll just talk a little bit about how the course will work. I sent out a message telling you that it would be a good idea if you could read the first chapter of the textbook and the 9th chapter of the textbook. The way this textbook works is the first 8 chapters are basically business math, and the last 8 chapters are all to do with financial compound interest calculations. So there's 16 chapters in the textbook, and we have to cover 16 chapters in about 13 weeks of classes. And some of the chapters, like chapter 5 and chapter 13, will actually take about 3 weeks to cover them. So what I do is I basically treat this course as if you're taking 2 separate courses. On the one hand, we deal with the first 8 chapters, and at the same time, we deal with the last 8 chapters. So we're basically going to start with chapter 1 and 9, and then next week we'll be doing chapters 2 and 10. And the material is totally different. So in your mind, just sort of tell yourself that you're taking 2 different math courses. Just you're taking them from two instructors that happen to look incredibly the same. So we'll look at both material as we go through. And that way, by the end of the course, we'll have covered all the material, but it'll just seem a little strange that it's like taking two separate courses. So when we go through the agenda today, we'll look at the material from chapter 1, and then we'll talk about the material from chapter 8 or from chapter 9. When we're doing the material from chapter 9, the compound interest material, what we will be dealing with is we'll be looking at the actual mathematical equations or the formulas, which can get incredibly complicated. And we'll also be using this calculator. So I don't know if you've been able to get hold of this calculator, but the textbook and the calculator are wedded together. So you won't be able to do the financial compound interest stuff unless you have this calculator. So we'll be doing it with the calculator with the pre-programmed package. And because you're doing it online, we'll also look at how to do it on Microsoft Excel. I don't usually teach people how to use Excel because when we're doing a face-to-face class and people are writing the tests in a test room, it doesn't do them any good to know how to use Microsoft Excel. But for you people, you'll be doing all this work online. And so it'll be very useful for you to know how to do it on Excel, because when you're writing a test, you'll be able to use Excel. So we'll spend a fair bit of time working out how to do it on Excel. And I say we'll spend a fair bit of time working it out. I don't usually use Excel because it's not usually something that I teach the students how to use, because I spend all my time teaching them how to use this calculator. Because when they're writing a test in a classroom, this is what they have. But for this class, of course, we'll also want to figure out how to use Excel. I've done some work with it, and Excel is probably the easiest way to do those financial calculations, but only useful if you have a computer in front of you and you're not sitting in a classroom. So, any questions before we get started looking at the agenda? Okay, I'm assuming there are no questions that you can verbalize at the moment. But if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to just put them into the chat box and we can take a look at them. So most of you have self-enrolled. Let me take a look at my Moodle or my class list and see how many people haven't managed to self-enroll. Dominique, Pauline, Avila, you're here at the moment somewhere. Have you managed to enroll on Moodle?
Sir, not yet, sir, for Moodle. I'm having issues with my Moodle.
Okay, we'll stay connected after this class and we'll try and figure out what those issues are, okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Rupinder Kaur. Is Rupinder here at the moment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Are you having issues getting onto the Moodle course?
Yes, sir. I have faced many difficulties to log in my BCK ID and my model.
Okay. We'll see if we can figure out those issues after this class.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Indrajit Singh. Is Indrajit Singh here? No? Okay. We cannot help that person then. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
Indrajit Singh,
Yeah.
oh. Indrajit Singh is here? Ah, okay. Bopari. Okay. What are your issues with signing on to Moodle?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yes, I see you now.
Sir, I'm facing issues.
Maybe you could type that in. I didn't hear it. Maybe you could type it into the chat box.
Sure, sir.
Okay. So those are the only 3 people I have that haven't managed to get onto Moodle. And we'll try to help those people after this class. I'm going to take an attendance for this first class. The attendance doesn't mean anything toward your marks, but it lets me know if someone's not able to connect with the course. So do I have Harneet Kaur Dhaliwal here? Harneet
Yes, sir.
Kaur?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I see your phone number, but for some weird reason, I didn't recognize it. Yes, okay. Harshit Jamdagni.
Hi, sir.
I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly, but at least you recognized it.
Yes.
Hardeep Kaur.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay. Sukhdeep Kaur.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Manmeet Sharma. Either they're not here or I've pronounced it so badly, they're never going to talk to me again. We'll try that again. Manmeet Sharma. No luck. Okay. And Suraj Sharma.
Yes, sir.
Suraj, yes, good.
Morning, sir.
Okay, well, that's good. Then the only person I couldn't find was Manmeet Sharma. Okay, so we'll see if we can find them another day. So it would be nice if you could put a profile picture onto Moodle. I noticed that some of you have. It's not by all means required, but it would just be nice if you did put one there. So the first thing we have to decide on is office hours. I would like to have a specific 2-hour block of time other than this class where I have a Zoom meeting that anybody can show up and ask questions. Because of course, I don't have office hours in my office at the college anymore. So when you look at your schedule, is there any day that you can think that this would work for? Do you have classes on Friday afternoon?
So we have one for now, but that timetable will be changed accordingly. So right now we have classes on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it's tentative on Friday.
I see. Well, how about Thursday then? Or would you not like to have, if you have a Thursday and it's off, would you like to keep it that way?
Sir, we have only one class on Monday, so can you schedule it for on Monday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have a class on Monday. Is it in
Yeah.
the morning or the afternoon?
It is in evening from 5 to 8 Vancouver timing.
5 in the evening.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I see. So could we have the office hours Monday, say Monday morning, say 9 o'clock, 9 to 11 on Monday?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll try that. If we find that those office hours don't work, then we can move them around. They're not carved in stone. Just, it's nice to know, or for you to know, that if you go online at that particular time, I'll be available to answer questions. So for now, we'll be doing 9 to 11 on Monday.
So 9 to 11 on Monday PM.
Oh,
Or AM?
I was suggesting AM in Canada. That'll
Okay.
be in the evening if you're in India.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
No, sir, it's okay. I don't have any problem.
Okay, good. When you write the tests for this course, there'll be 4 tests. There'll be midterm number 1, midterm number 2, midterm number 3, and midterm number 4. I'm proposing that these tests will be on Friday. And you will have a 24-hour window. The test itself will be 3 hours long. So whenever you personally start the test, you'll have 3 hours to finish it. But within that 24-hour time period, in order to accommodate the fact that we're all in different time zones, you can start at any time on Friday. But the question is, does Friday work for you? It could be on the weekend, or it could be on a weekday. I was just thinking of putting it on Friday. Any thoughts on whether that would work for you or not?
No, sir, it works for me to put it on Friday.
Okay, so that will be Friday. Vancouver time. And I'll start the test at 9 a.m. Vancouver time, and it'll run till 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, basically. So wherever you are, you can choose whatever time of day you want to work on that test. Just know that when you start it, you'll have 3 hours. So it'll be Friday, 9 a.m. to Saturday, 9 a.m. So we'll try that. If it doesn't work well for the first test, we can always change it for the second test. You will have homework assignments. I sent out something called a schedule of due dates. And the schedule of due dates is posted on the Moodle site. And so those homework assignments, they're worth about 40% of your mark. There's homework assignments for the chapters, and there's homework assignments for the financial calculations, the compound interest. And you get to try them over and over and over again, as many times as you like, whatever it takes to get 100%. And I'll only record the highest mark. If we look on the Moodle site, there are formula sheets and answer keys and PowerPoints and examples. Oh, for some reason I've got PowerPoint slides twice. Okay, that was dumb. Would you like me to show you where they are, or are you comfortable exploring the Moodle site and finding them?
Maybe you should show the people, because we have a WhatsApp group and a lot of people are having trouble using Moodle, so it will help them.
Okay, let's take a look here. Let's get rid of this. So I will share my screen. So can you now see this thing that says project management?
Yes, we can see, sir.
Good. Okay. I plagiarized this off the internet. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. So the first thing you see here is a link for the course outline. I sent you the course outline by email, but it's also here. And then there's a link for the schedule of due dates. I sent it out by email, but it's also sitting here on the Moodle site.
We can see your screen, but it's not the Moodle app. It's your
It didn't
background
go up
screen.
and it didn't go up and down. Okay, let's figure out why not. Okay, you can see it now.
Yes.
And
Yes,
does it move?
Yes,
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 sir.
we can see.
Oh, okay, that's weird. Okay, let's try that again. Thank you for letting me know. So here's the course outline again. The schedule of due dates. On my screen, of course, I can see midterm test number 1, 2, 3, and 4, or final test, but you won't be able to see those yet, but I can see them. Then the next section we have is compound interest formula sheets. And we've got formula sheets for chapter 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. There will be one for chapter 16 there eventually. And so these formula sheets, they're basically a work in progress. They have the formulas that you would use if you're doing the calculations by hand. They have the process if you're using this pre-programmed calculator. And in some cases, I've put explanations of how to use Excel. But like I said, Excel is a work in progress for me because I don't usually teach it. I'm only teaching it now because we're doing the course online. So we'll work on these as we go to make them more informative. And then we've got basically chapter by chapter. You can look at the PowerPoint slides. This is the homework for chapter 1. And then compound interest number 1 is basically the homework for chapter 9. And then there's all these things which are examples dealing with chapter 1. These are like little video examples that are interesting but very boring. And basically the same for every chapter. The PowerPoint. Oh, I heard someone say something, but I don't know if they're talking to us. So you got the homework and the homework. Every week you'll do 2 homework assignments. And then these are all examples. Chapter 3, we do chapter 3, part A and part B. So we'll be 2 weeks working on chapter 3. And chapter 4 is 1 week. Chapter 5 is ridiculous. We'll have 3 weeks working on chapter 5. 7 is 1 week. Oops. And 8 will be 2 weeks. When it comes to dealing with the financial calculations, down at the bottom, right at the bottom of this whole list, we've got a whole bunch of handouts dealing with these financial calculations. And these are worth printing out and dealing with. And then you have examples. So you'll want to take a look at these and get really comfortable using this calculator. Depending on how long I have to teach the course online, I guess I'll have a section dealing with Excel, but I don't have one there yet because I haven't done enough work with Excel to create specific handouts for Excel. We have answer keys for the textbook. So if you're working through the textbook, in the back of the textbook, they only have answers to the odd numbered questions. But in the answer key, you have answers to all the questions. So any questions about the Moodle site, other than you're not able to get on the Moodle site yet? A few people haven't managed to get on it. Okay. So in that case, we'll go back to the agenda and we'll just look at these questions. As I go through these questions, you may, or you will, many of you will probably work them out faster than I do, and just put your answers in the chat. In some cases, I'll stop and wait till I do get a few answers to make sure that a few people are actually following along with what's happening. And I'll share a different screen here, a whiteboard. So, can everybody see this question? Evaluate this piece of nonsense. We're good? Okay. So, because I had to type it in there, it looks a little strange. Let's write it out the way it would look if we were writing it by hand. it would be 5124 over 1 minus 9% times 270 over 365. And let's just pause for a moment there and give people a chance to fill in some answers if they can figure it out. And then we'll go through how to solve this using that weird calculator. I better work it out myself. So if some answers show up, I'll have a good idea whether you're right or wrong. So we have a couple answers. They don't agree with one another. We have 3 answers. They don't agree with either the first 2. So I'm going to share a different screen here. Oops. So on your screen now, can you see a calculator?
Yes.
You can see the
Yes, sir.
calculator?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we
Yes,
can,
sir.
sir.
Okay, and sometimes the calculator doesn't work either. It doesn't show you what I'm trying to do. So I cleared it. Did you see it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's take a step back here and do a bunch of stuff with this calculator that you'll want to know how to do. See, notice that when the calculator is new, I can only see 2 decimals, right? But if I want to change the decimals, and you might want to write this down, I've got to go second, and then down here to this decimal point format, and notice it says decimals equals 2. I want to go decimal equal 9. And then I've got to go enter. So now it says decimals equals 9. And I can clear that. So now when I go say 2 divided by 7, it's going to show me 9 decimals.
Sir, the calculator is not working on my screen.
What's that?
It's stuck.
Oh,
the
what did it
calculator-
stick on?
It's showing 15.67. That's all.
Oh, okay. So it's not changing. Let me
No.
see if I can figure out why that is. It does that quite often, and I don't know why. Let's see if I can figure it out. what's it showing now?
0.28571428.6.
And if I clear it, does it change?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
exactly. It's changing now.
Okay, so let's try that again and see if you can see the process. Go second, format. Its decimals equals 9. If I want to go back to 2, I have to go 2, enter, and then clear. But in this case, I'm going to want more decimals. So second, format, 9, enter, and clear. So that's how to set the number of decimals on here. So 2 divided by 7, and now you can see the 0.2857.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we can
hopefully
see.
it'll stay with us. So in this question here, I've foolishly thrown it away. So let's go back to, let me find this. So what we've got is 5124 over 1 minus 9% times 270 over 365. And in order to follow the order of operations or bed mass, I'm going to have to start with 270 divided by 365. So I don't want to round this number off, right? And now I'm going to go times 9. And notice there's a percent key here. All this is going to do for me is divide 9 by 100, because that's what 9% is, equals. So now I have this number right here, but I want to take it away from 1. And what I'm going to do is notice down here where it says plus minus, I'm going to make this into a negative number. And then I'm going to go plus 1 equals. Is everybody comfortable with how that works? Adding,
Yes.
taking away is the same as adding a negative. So now I've got this ridiculous number, but this is in the denominator, and I want it in the numerator. So on this calculator, see this 1 over x button? This is, remember when you learned to divide fractions, they talked about invert and multiply? Does that ring a bell?
Yes. Yes.
Invert and multiply? This 1 over x is your invert button. When I click this, it's going to put this number into the numerator. And then instead of dividing, I can go times 5124. And so I'm getting 5489.46. So however you're calculating that, on whatever kind of calculator you're using, if you're not using the BA2 Plus, hopefully that's the answer you want to get. 5489.46. That process of using this plus minus and this 1 over x, we could do this without using either of those. Let's clear it and do it without using either of those buttons. Let's do 270 divided by 365. And then we've still got to go times 9% equals. So now instead of using the plus minus, see this STO and RCL? This is store and recall. I can store this. I can go store 1, and then I can clear it. When I go recall 1, this number shows up again. So now that I've stored it, and I could have stored it in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now that I've stored it, I can go 1 minus recall 1 equals. And so we ended up with the same number without using that plus minus key. And if I don't want to use the 1 over x, I can store this number. I could go store 2. And so now when I go recall 2, I've got that there. Recall 1, I've still got the other number there. But now that I've stored it, I can go 5, 1, 2, 4 divided by recall 2. And we get the same number, just we did it a slightly different way. So you'll want to get used to using that store and recall, but you'll also want to get used to using that 1 over x and that plus minus. It just makes the calculations a little quicker and a little easier.
Yes.
So let's any questions on how that worked? Neither on my, oh, the neither on mine meant you couldn't see the screen move. But hopefully we were good now. So let's try the next question. And chapter 1 is really only a review of basic algebra. I don't think you should have that much trouble with it. Hopefully not. We'll find out though. So how do we change this percent into a decimal? Let's go back to the calculator. 3 over 8%. And I'll give people a chance to put some answers in the chat box. And I better find out what it looks like to me. I see a couple of good answers. So we'll go with those 0.00375. So when you do it, you need to have your calculator set to at least 5 decimal places, but I would set your calculator to 9 decimals. Let's go back to the calculator. And if I clear it, does it clear? Or is it stuck again?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if we're doing 3 divided by 8 equals, and then we have to hit the percent sign. And so that would be our answer there. So in order, although when this calculator comes out of the package, they have it set to 2 decimals. I would recommend setting it to 9 for just about everything you're ever going to do, because otherwise the calculator lies to you and you don't see the whole answer. So they want us to, oops. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. That doesn't translate from the typed version. This is really 166 2/3%. And so can I show you how to set the calculator to 9 decimals? Yes, let's take a look at that again. Let's go back to the calculator. So we can see the calculator. We're good. So I clear it. And to set the calculator, go second and format. And then it'll tell you how many decimals it is. Let's say I want 5 decimals. I've got to go 5, enter, and then I can clear it. If I want it back to 9, second, format, 9, enter, and then clear it. So, any good guesses as to what this is? Yes, we're changing it into a common fraction. And I saw the answer there. Someone had a good answer. So if we change it into a common fraction, it's 5/3 or 1 2/3. If we don't want to have an improper fraction. So how did they go from this ridiculous number to 5/3? Let's go through the incredible, strange process that we'd have to do here. In order to change this into an improper fraction, we'd have to go 3 times 166. So 3 times 166 is 498 plus 2. So this is really 500/3%. But we've got to get rid of the percent sign. So it's 500 over 3 over 100. And we don't like a fraction to be part of a fraction. So we're going to put this over 1. And then we can invert and multiply. Then we're going to have 500 over 3 times 1 over 100, which now becomes 500 over 300. But we can simplify it to 5 over 3. And mathematicians don't like improper fractions. So this is really 1 2/3. So I know that looks like a weird process, but that's what they would be expecting you to do there if they wanted you to change it into a common fraction. So let's clear all this nonsense and put some other nonsense here. So what would this be as a percent? And I'll just relax for a few minutes and see what we get. Yeah, we're getting a few answers there that look good. 2.25%. So what I did was 9 divided by 400 equals something. And then when we get rid of a percent sign, we divide by 100, but now we're going to multiply by 100. And we get 2.25%. So that didn't seem to cause anybody who gave me an answer too much grief. And if when I go through these things, if you're not getting an answer and you're not able to put an answer up here, and you'd like me to try and explain it more clearly, don't hesitate to ask, and I will try and do that. Let's take a look at this next one. Well, that looked like it was going to format nicely, but it didn't. Trying to see if I can separate these two. Yeah, that works fine. So I'll leave it like that for a minute. So we're doing, oh, that didn't work. 72 at 1.25, 84 at 162, no, 16 and 2/3 cents. 40 at 0.875. These are dollars. And 48 at 133 and 1/3. So let's figure out what each of these equals, and then we'll add them up. Now, as we're dealing with money here, these answers here will have to be 2 decimals. Right, all these answers will have to be 2 decimals. And this final answer will have to be 2 decimals because we're dealing with money. So 72 times 1.25 is easy enough. What is this answer?
$90.
And I'm seeing some good answers here, 90. Okay, so that wasn't a problem. What about 84 times 16 2/3 cents? So I'm gonna have to go 2 divided by 3 plus 16. And then I want this to be cents. So divided by 100 and then times 84. And several people were way ahead of me. This is going to be $14. So this one should be easy, 0.875 times 40. What's this next one going to be? $35. And then the last one, 1 divided by 3 plus 1.33. No, that didn't work. So what's anybody getting for this last one? Oh, I didn't like that answer. Any other good guesses? I'll recheck my numbers. Anyone else get an answer for 48 times 133 1/3? We're getting some weird answers there. That's very weird. Let's go over to the calculator and calculate this. So in order to get that 1.33 1/3 in there, I'm going to have to go 1 divided by 3 plus 133. And then because it's dollars, divided by 100. So 1.33 and a third is 1.3333333. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to go times 48. And I'm getting 64 there. Let's take another look at another sort of way to solve this. If we have 33 and a third of something, we have 1/3 of it, right? If we took 33 and a third, we'd have 1, or 33 and a third percent of something, we'd have 1/3 of it. So the 33 and a third here is 1/3 of 48. So 1 divided by 3 times 48 would be 16. And the 1 is 100% of 48. And if we add these two together, we'd get 64. But that would be a really sort of painful way of doing it. But before we add them up, does anybody have any questions about how I calculated that? Right? Because sooner or later, you'll have to end up doing that. I did 1 divided by 3 equals, then plus the 133 equals, and then divided by 100 equals, to basically turn it into pennies, I guess. And that gave me 1.3333. So I'm not sure if people have questions about how that worked or not. Now that we've got the numbers, we can add them up fairly easily. 90 plus 14 plus 35 plus 64 should come up to 203.
Sorry.
Yes.
Could you tell us how to get 14 and 64 again? I was a little confused.
Okay. Let's get rid of all this over here for a minute. When I deal with the 16 and 2/3 cents, first off, I'm going to go 2 divided by 3 equals and see what that is. And then I'm going to go plus 16 equals and see what that is. So 2 divided by 3 equals plus 16 equals, and now I've got 16 point blah, 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 blah. But because these are cents, not dollars, I'm now going to go divided by 100 to turn them into cents. So divided by 100. So I end up with 0.16 repeating, at which time I can go times 84. So times 84, and I got the 14. Does that help any? If you try that, does it make sense? Did anybody calculate it in any other way that might make sense? I noticed someone said they put the whole thing over 3. Let's see how that would work. 16 2/3 would equal 3 times 16 is 48.
No, sir. I was talking about the fourth part. So I thought that 1.33 1 by 3 is all over the 1.33 part. So that is why I got the wrong answer, but I got it later.
Oh, okay. I was just going to look at this one as 50 over 3 times 84. What would that be? 50 times 84. That would be 4200 over 3 divided by 3. And that would give us 1400. But then because we're dealing in cents, we'd go divided by 100. Divided by 100. And that would still give us 14. So does that help any? Translating that into something you can actually use mathematically. And again, all these things, there's lots of examples in the textbook that they'll get you to do for practice. Let's try another one. So the bad news about business math is that most of it comes in the form of word problems. So let's see how they're dealing with this. The following information is shown in your investment account for last year. Balance for January 1st is 7,200. A withdrawal of 480 on March 1st and deposits of 600 on August 1st and 120 on October 1st. What was the account's average monthly balance for the year? So they want us to do balance for the whole year. So we're going to have to keep track of all the months, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And what have they told us? They started with 7,200 and they withdrew 480 on March 1st. So minus 480. They deposited 600 on August. So plus 600. And they deposited 120 on October 1st. So how much was here in February? 7,200. How much was here in March? I'll wait till we see that answer pop up. Uh, 6,720. Let's go with that. So April was still 6,720. May 6,720. June 6,720. July 6,720. How much in August? $7,320. September 7,320. How about October? $7,440. And so if we want an average, one way of getting an average is we add all these up and divide by 12. What do they add up to? And we're getting answers of 8, 4, 9, 6, 0, which looks good. And we divide that by 12. And we're getting 7, 0, 8, 0. Now, this process that we've just done is referred to as a simple average. They also want you to understand something called a weighted average. So let's take these same numbers and put them into a weighted average to see what the difference is. With a weighted average, we're going to group these things together. We can see there's 2 of these 5 of these, 2 of these, and 3 of these. So we'd go 7,200 times 2, and hopefully someone will tell us what that is. And 6,720 times 2. Hopefully people will let us know what that is. Or no, not times 2, times 5. That's the weight, is 5. And 7,320 times 2. And 7,440 times 3. And when we add the weights up, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, should add up to 12. So what's 7,200 times 2? One, 4, 4, 0, 0. And 6,720 times 5. 33600, and 7,320 times 2. 14640, and 7,440 times 3. 22320. And when we add these up, we're really hoping it equals 84960. Let's give it a try and see if it does. Let me know what this column of 4 numbers adds up to. Eight, 4, 9, 6, 0. And then, of course, we divide it by the sum of the weights divided by 12, which would give us 7080. So your first question is, why would we have 2 different ways of doing this? Notice here, when we're adding up 12 numbers, it's fairly reasonable to expect that we can add up 12 numbers without making a mistake. But if you start getting dozens and hundreds of numbers in a column and you're adding them up by hand, the chance of making a mistake becomes greater and greater. And so mathematicians came up with this concept of a weighted average, where they grouped these things together just to try and reduce the amount of work and to reduce the chance of making a mistake. So that's why you get this thing called a weighted average. But when we see them side by side, you can see that they're both supposed to end up at the same place, but you now get a good idea of what a weighted average is, as opposed to a simple average that you're more used to dealing with. So let's get rid of that, unless there's any questions about that. Don't hesitate to ask if you have questions. Because that's the whole point, answering all your questions. Because I get enough chance to ask you questions. So Wa Van Wyn receives an annual salary of this much. He's paid monthly on a 38-hour work week. What is the gross pay for a pay period in which he works 8.75 hours overtime at time and a half regular pay. So if he's paid monthly, how many checks does he get a year? If he was paid semi-monthly, how many would he get?
24.
24. If he was paid well, first off, let's just ask if he was paid weekly,
Weekly 52.
he'd get 52, and bi-weekly, how many would he get?
26.
26. And so even though semi-monthly means you get 2 paychecks a month, and bi-weekly is very close to that, notice this one is 24 paychecks and this one is 26. Because although we think of a month as being 4 weeks, we also are well aware that it's 4 weeks plus 2 or 3 days, right? When the month has 30 days, there's an extra 2 days. And when the month has 31 days, there's an extra 3. So keep in mind that semi-monthly and bi-weekly are not exactly the same thing. And some of the questions they can write in this textbook are designed to try and fool you into thinking those are the same concepts. So let's get rid of these, although we'll see these concepts in later questions, either here or in the book. So if he has an annual salary of this much, let's figure out his monthly salary. 5295680 divided by 12, and what do we get? And it's got to be 2 decimals as we're dealing with money.
$4413.06.
I'm going to go 4413.07 because that 6666 will round up to a 7. So now we want to know what his hourly wage is. This is monthly, but hourly. How will we figure out his hourly wage? What do you think his hourly wage is going to be?
29. $29.04 to be exact.
So several people are coming up with 29.04. And how did you calculate that?
Divide by 4, then divide by 38.
You're dividing this number.
Yes, sir.
Remember, this number is for a month, right? But a month, if we divide a month by 4, that doesn't give us 4 weeks. Remember when we looked at weekly, how many paychecks does he get in a, if he's paid weekly, how many paychecks does that equal? Remember, this is 52 paychecks. Whereas if we take his month and multiply it by 4, that's only 48 paychecks. So if we divide this by 4, we're only going to be giving him 48 paychecks for a year. So because they're asking us for his, because they've told us that he works a 38-hour work week, how much does he get paid per week? We've got to take the 52956.80 divided by 52. So how much does he get paid in a week? And I like that answer. 1018.48. We're getting. And now once we know his weekly salary, we can get his hourly equals 1018.48 divided by 38. So this 29.04, that would have worked if there was 48 weeks in a year. But the trouble is, we happen to know there's 52 weeks in a year. So you can't use this number that's his monthly pay to figure out his hourly pay or his weekly pay. Because it's strangely annoying that all months do not have the same number of days. Just a bit ridiculous the way they designed years and months. They should have been thinking about this a little more clearly than making them all different numbers of days. So once we know his hourly pay, we can figure out his pay when he works 8.7 hours overtime. What does time and a half regular pay mean? What do we have to multiply his regular pay by to get time and a half? That's right, 1.5. So we've got to do at 8.75. We've got to multiply that this times 1.5. So a pay period is a month. So we know his monthly pay, 4413.07 plus 8.75 times 2680 times 1.5. So this will give us his hourly overtime rate, and then multiply it by 8.75 will tell us what he got for this number of hours overtime. And then we have to add it to the regular pay he gets. I'll just wait a minute to see if we get some interesting answers there, and hopefully we can agree on what that answer is. But hopefully I better try it myself so I can agree. Four, 7, 6, 4.82 looks good. Lots of people got that answer. And I got it too, so I like it. So the big message you need to take home about that question is that you cannot use the monthly pay to find the weekly or hourly pay, right? Make a note of that, because they will give you these salary questions dealing with things like monthly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly. But remember, you can't use monthly or semi-monthly to figure out hourly or weekly, because months are not all the same number of days. So let's see what else they've done to us here. So a salesperson receives a base salary of 600 on a quota of 4,500. On the next 2,000, she receives a commission of 11%. On any additional sales, the commission rate is 15%. Calculate her gross earnings for a week in which her sales totaled 8,280. So to start with, let's make sure we understand what the words mean. Quota. A quota is basically how much she must sell. She must sell $4,500 worth of stuff in order to get her base salary of 600. If she doesn't hit that 4,500 often enough, they're basically going to let her go and find a better salesperson. So she gets paid $600 and they're hoping she'll sell $4,500 worth of stuff. And that's what they mean by a quota. The commission. whenever you're dealing with sales jobs, often part of your salary is called a commission. And the reason they do this is because selling is a hard job and you have to be really committed to selling. And the way they make you committed to selling is part of your wage depends on how much you sell. So whatever she sells above her quota, she gets paid a commission. So it's a bonus. It's an incentive for her to sell more than her original quota. And in order to make the incentive even bigger, the commission rate goes up to 15% after she sells $2,000 over her quota. And so there's a much more of an incentive for her to sell lots and lots of stuff. And we can see she did fairly well. She sold $8,280 worth of stuff. So how are we going to figure out her gross earnings? What is it we're being asked to figure out? Yeah, her gross earnings. So there's no tax or anything being taken off when her sales were 8,280. So what do we know? We know she made $600 for selling 4,500 worth of stuff. But she sold more than that. 8,280 minus 4,500. What is that? So she sold $3,780 more than her quota. So we have to figure out on the 2,000, she's getting 11%. So what is that? 2,000 times 11%. How much is that?
220.
So she got paid $220 there for that $2,000. And so we can take that away from this. So 3,780 minus the 2,000. So she's getting 1,780 at 15%. How much is that?
267. 267.
That's right, 267. Oops, that didn't work. So her pay, she got paid the 600, but she got paid 220, and then she got paid 267. So let's figure out her gross earnings. 600 plus 220 plus 267. And someone's there before I am. That's good. So her pay looks like it was 1087. So that's basically what they wanted you to do there. Any questions on how that worked? You're bound to run into other questions dealing with quotas and commissions. And that's the kind of process they're expecting you to go through. So now we're going to talk a little bit about taxes. It'll be a little strange if you're in India, because these are, of course, taxes in Canada. So Sharandeep of Winnipeg, Manitoba, bought a ring for $6,400. Since the jeweler is shipping the ring, he must pay a shipping charge of $20. He must also pay GST and PST on the ring and the shipping charge. So let's talk about, first off, GST. In Canada, that stands for Goods and Services Tax. Now, in India, do you have a value added tax? Like in England, they have the VAT?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Well, this is similar to the British VAT. I'm not familiar with the tax system you have in India. But that's what this is. It's like the, not anymore. They eliminated your VAT? Okay. Well, that's lucky for you. We still have a value added tax here, and it's called the GST. And it's 5% everywhere in Canada. So that's the GST. We also have the PST, which is the provincial sales tax. And in the textbook, they have tax rates, but these are different for every province. So when you're doing a question like this, you're going to have to look in your textbook and you're going to have to find out whatever tax rate they're using in the textbook that you're using in order to make the question make sense. In relation to the answer key for the textbook. Whenever I give you a question like this on a test, I will tell you the tax rate to use. If you look on the formula sheet, I don't know if I've showed you the formula sheet. Let's go over and find the formula sheet for this chapter. Let me go back to. Oh no, I'd better go find it first. Stop share. So now I'm hoping you're looking at the project management screen. Is that right? Yes. And if I scroll down, does it scroll down? Yes. No, it's not
No,
scrolling
sir.
down.
No, it stopped.
It stopped. Okay. I wonder why. Oh, paused. I wonder why. That's weird. How about now?
Yeah.
Scrolling down now.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to look for where I'm hiding these formula sheets. Here, business math formula sheets. And we've got chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the 2015 edition. But we want to look at 2018 tax rates because that's the latest tax rates. And so if we open this file, so can you now see something that says formula sheet, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4? What are you looking at on your screen now? What do you see on your screen?
So the sheet didn't open.
It didn't open?
It's still in the Moodle, sir.
Okay, let's try this again. Now do you see the formula sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you want to print this formula sheet out. But notice here, we've got GST and PST, 5% everywhere. And they're in Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba. And the important number we're looking for here is 7%. In order to calculate this question, we need to know about this 7%. So let's get rid of that. And go back to this nonsense. So for us in Manitoba, we're dealing with PST of 7%. In Manitoba. So the other kind of tax we have is called the HST, which stands for harmonized. Sales tax. When the federal government first came up with the GST, they felt it would be simpler if instead of calculating the GST and the PST separately, we only calculated them together. In other words, we harmonized them. And when they suggested to the provinces that we do this, some of the provinces said, okay, we'll do it. And some of the provinces said, no, we don't want to do that. So wherever you see a harmonized sales tax, that's just the GST and the PST added together. And when we look at this screen again, we can see all these provinces, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Ontario signed on later, but they all have HST, which is the harmonized sales tax. You can still figure out how much the GST and the PST is because we know that the GST is 5%. So any of these that have 15%, their provincial sales tax must be 10%. These other provinces weren't willing to harmonize their taxes with the federal government. And several places in Canada have no PST. They still pay the 5% of the GST, but they have no PST. So let's go back to the other screen and do some actual calculating. So now we know what we're dealing with here. We know the ring costs $6,400. He better like that girl a lot if he's buying that nice ring. Since the jeweler shipped the ring, a shipping charge of $20, and he's got to pay GST and PST on the ring and the shipping charges. So GST is 5%, PST is 7%. So this is going to be 12% times 12%. Let's figure out how much this is going to cost him. How much is the ring on itself without the shipping charge? Or the tax on the ring without the shipping charge?
$768.
768. Yeah, why do we get 71? Yeah, 768. And the 20 times 12% is $2.40. So basically we'd have to add up 6,400 plus 20 plus 768 plus 2.40. Now, another way we could have done this is we could have taken the 6,400 plus the 20. So 6,420 times 1.12. So let's do it both ways and see if we get the same answer. 6,400 plus 20 plus 768 plus 2.40. We're getting 7,190.40. And down here, 6,420 times 1.12 equals 7,190.40. So the question is anybody wondering where this 1 came from? Would you like me to do the math of where that 1 came from?
Yes,
Because
sir.
you're going to use that 1 lots and lots of times. Let me show you what happened here. Really, what we did was 6,420 times or plus, sorry, 6 plus 6,420 times 12%. But we translated the 12% into a decimal. So 6,420 plus 6,420 times 0.1 0.12 in order to get rid of the decimal. And then we factored out the 6,400. So 6,420 outside of 1, which is this, plus 0.12, which is this. And then we joined them together. So 6,420 times 1.12. And you'll see that an amazing number of times that you won't need to go through all this nonsense. You'll just know that you can get to the final answer by putting a 1 here. Does that make sense to anybody, or is it a total mystery? Let's save that. So we deal with other types of taxes. They're going to ask us a question here now about property taxes. So property is valued at 390,000 and it's assessed at 2/3 of its value. What is the amount of tax due for this year if the tax rate is $12.50 per $1,000 of assessed value? Okay, let's the concept of it being assessed. In British Columbia, the BC Assessment Authority puts a price tag on every house. And then the city or the municipality can decide how much to tax you based on the assessed value of the house. Now, they don't actually assess things at 2/3 of their value, but that's what this question is telling us. The BC Assessment Authority actually tries to assess it at its market value, but we're going to only be using 2/3 of its value. So we can find 2/3 of its value fairly easy by 390,000 times 2/3. So let's figure out what that is before we do anything else. And what kind of answers are we getting there?
260,000.
260,000 sounds good. So that's what we're dealing with. And now they're telling us that the tax rate is $12.50 per. Whenever you see the word per means divided by. So this is $12.50 per $1,000 of value. And we know the value, or at least the assessed value, is 260,000. How do we find this number here? And I'm coming up with answers of 3,250. And I'm fairly sure that's exactly the right answer because that's the answer I got when I did that. So they're going to give you questions where they tell you the tax rate per 1,000. And whenever it's per $1,000 in the tax business, that's referred to as the mill rate. So if it's per 1,000, they're talking about the mill rate. They will also give you tax questions where they just give you a decimal number and then it's per dollar, not per 1,000. It's just per dollar. So if they just refer to the tax rate, then it's usually per $1. And they'll then you just multiply this by this, by the value. It just depends on which way they've given you the question. So let's move on to a totally different topic now and look at compound interest. First off, let me explain what compound interest is. Although you may already have a good understanding. With the concept of compound interest, let's say we invested $1,000 at 10% for 1 year. What would we have? We'd have 1,000 times 1.1 equals 1,000 times 1.1. We'd have 1,100. Does that make sense? Okay. Right? Because 10% of 1,000 would have been 100. And again, this mysterious one cropped up out of nowhere, but that's what we would have to multiply by, 1 plus 10%. If we reinvested it, we'd now be investing 1,100 times 1.1. And what does that equal? It's now 1,210. So that's after 2 years. And if we reinvested it, 1,210 times 1.1, so times 1.1 is 1,331. And then if we reinvested that, 1,331 times 1.1, we're now getting 1,464 and 10 cents. So this was year 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it for one more year. 1,464.10 times 1.1. So we're now at 1,610.50. Now notice what happened here. After the first year, we were charging interest on the interest. And that's what they mean by compound interest. Once you're reinvesting the interest and getting paid on interest every year, it's not just called simple interest. This first calculation was just simple interest, but after that, we're getting paid interest on the interest. Hence, it's referred to as compound interest. And notice we had to do 5 separate calculations to get here. However, they don't want us to have to do all of these calculations, especially if you're going for 20 or 30 years or hundreds of compounding periods. They want us to find a formula that allows us to do this all in one go. And so what they're going to do is future value equals the present value multiplied by 1 plus I, which is the interest, to the power of however many compounding periods we went. So let's try this. Let's try this over here and see if it actually worked. Because we went 5 times. Let's go future value equals 1,000 was the original investment. 1 plus I was 10%. So 0.1. And we're going to do this to the power of 5. So let's see if it actually gives us the same answer. 1.1 y to the x 5 times 1,000. And for some reason I get an extra penny. I don't know why. Now, do you know how to do this to the power of on this calculator? Or would you like me to show you how to do that? Let's take a look at the calculator. Stop share. Share, where are we hiding the calculator? Here it is. So you can see the calculator? Yes?
Yes, sir.
And if I clear it, does it clear or are we stuck?
It's clear.
Clear.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
clear.
So the formula we were using was 1 plus, then it was 10% equals. So inside the bracket, we had 1.1, right? And the exponent on this calculator is y to the x. So if I want to take everything in the bracket to the power of 5, I've got to go y to the x. It shows nothing. And then 5 equals. And it gives us this. And then we can go times the 1,000. And I don't know where the extra penny came from, because when we did it by hand, we didn't get an extra penny. 1,000 times 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1 and times 1.1. Oh, yeah, I do get the extra penny. I must have missed it the first time. So that's how you're going to do the to the power with this y to the x. We'll do more with this button in the next chapter because they talk about exponents in chapter 2. But we're going to have to use that now. So in a nutshell, that's the formula we're using. And they're going to get us to do other things with it. They're going to get us to solve for present value equals future value over 1 plus I to the power of n. So that's where we're going today. We're going to use these two formulas. We're going to do work with this letter I. Let's take a look at the first question they ask us. And I highly recommend reading chapter 9 to help this stuff make sense. So it says, for a sum of money invested at 10%, compounded quarterly for 12 years, state the nominal annual rate of interest, the number of compounding periods per year, the periodic rate of interest, the number of compounding periods in the term, the compounding factor, and the numerical value of the compounding factor. So let's take a look at what they're telling us here. We don't know how much money, but we know that it's invested at 10%. And so the nominal annual rate of interest, J, so part A here, J equals either 10% or 0.1. The letter J is a bit annoying because quite often it gets referred to as R, the annual rate of interest, but here they refer to it as J. So in part B here, the number of compounding periods per year, if it's quarterly, how many does that mean?
Three months.
That's right. It's going to be 4. And that is the letter, I should put it the other way. That's referred to as M in these formula sheets. M equals 4. If it was semi-annual, it would be 2. If it was monthly, it would be 12, right? It's just the number of times this is compounded in a year. But if it's quarterly, it's 4. The periodic rate of interest, what they're asking us here is, what's the rate of interest per compounding period? So this is where this letter I comes in, and this is going to be 10% divided by 4. And this is going to be a decimal. So 10% divided by 4. What do we get here?
0.025.
0.025. So if it's 10% a year, it's 2.5% every quarter. Does that make sense? Right? They've just got to figure it out per quarter if they're compounding it every quarter. Part D, the numeric or the number of compounding periods in the term. Well, it's 12 years. So this is N. There's 12 years. It's 4 times a year. So it's going to be 48. And the compounding factor is going to be 1 plus I, which is 0.025 to the power of 48. And then they actually want us to figure out what this equals. So we're going to do 1 plus 0.025 equals, and then y to the x 48. And when you get this number, you cannot round it off. 3.271489.561. So to see whether this is working or not, let's say the sum of money equals 560. What would the final answer be? One 832 point. Now we can't have 3 decimals because it's money. So it's going to have to be just 03 there. So whenever you're putting these things into an equation, you have to calculate I and N, and you can't round them off. So let's try the next question. Unless there's any questions there. Anybody have any doubts about what happened? I know that one of the things that often happens in math class is people watch everything I do. None of it makes any sense whatsoever. And they tell themselves, hopefully when I read the textbook, it'll make sense later. But if you're in that position, I very much strongly urge you to ask as many questions as you can. Or then next Monday, when we have office hours, hopefully you'll be ready to ask questions because you'll have tried a whole bunch of work by then. So that those office hours on Monday may work very well because you've had a full week to work with the material. Okay, so let's take this away and try the next one. So what is the maturity value, which is the future value, of a 5-year term deposit of $5,000 at 3.5% compounded semi-annually? How much interest did the deposit earn? So let's consider the things we need to know. The nominal rate of interest is always given to us. So what they're referring to as J is 3.5%. The number of compounding periods, M, it's compounded semi-annually. So how many compounding periods are there in a year?
2.
2. We need, given these two pieces of information, we can calculate the periodic rate of interest. It's 3.5% divided by 2.
1.75%.
That's right, 1.75%, but we're going to need it as a decimal. So 0.0175. And then we want to know N. It's a 5-year term and it's twice a year. I'll handle that. 10. So now we can figure out the compounding factor. We know it's $5,000 times 1 plus I, which is 0.0175 to the power of N, which is 10. So let's see if a few of us can agree on what that must equal. And a few of us are coming up with the same answer. 5947.22. Okay. Let's leave that for a minute. Let's try the next one. So calculate the present value and the compound discount of 1,600 due 4.5 years from now if money is worth 4% compounded semi-annually. So again, we've got to figure out, we don't really, we're always given J. These questions will always give you the annual interest rate. They'll always tell you the annual. So J is 4%. The number of compounding periods per year, M, it's semi-annual. So this must be 2. The periodic interest rate, I, we have to combine these two. 4% divided by 2, and it's got to be, we're going to use the decimal here. So 4% divided by 2 gives us 0.02. And N is the number of compounding periods in the term. What do we have? 4.5. So 4.5 times 2 gives us 9. So our formula is that the present value equals the future value over 1 plus I to the power of n. And the future value is the 1600 over 1 plus 0.02 to the power of 9. So let's see if we can agree on what that equals. I think I'm gonna actually go for 8-1 here. Does that make sense? I notice every answer I have up here says 8-0, but I'd like 8.81. Because the number I'm getting is 1338.808.425. But as I only want 2 decimals, this should round up to 1. Are you guys getting the same number? Okay. Now, the compound discount is how much money has been discounted. So we'd have to go 1600 minus 1338.81 and see what that's equal to. In the previous question, they asked us how much interest did the deposit earn? And I forgot to do that part of it. So we'll have to take another look at that one because I forgot the second half of the question. So we only have one more question here. So in negotiating a contract for your business, you have to decide between receiving 50,000 now or 20,000 now and 35,000 3 years from now. In terms of today's dollar, which choice is better and by how much? And they're telling us that money is worth 4.25% compounded annually. So what do we know? we could have 50,000 or 20,000 now and 35,000 3 years from now. So the 20,000 and the 35,000 sounds like we're getting 55,000. But the trouble is, whenever you're comparing money at different points in time, because of the interest rate, money changes value. So what we have to do is we have to bring this 35,000 back to today. We could draw a little diagram here to depict what we're looking at. Here we are today. We have a choice of 50,000, or we could have 20,000, but 1, 2, 3. We could have 35,000 here. But in order to make a decision today, we have to bring this 35,000 back here. To see what it's worth. And we have a formula for doing that. We just used it. Present value equals future value over 1 plus I to the power of n. So we have to figure out, we know the future value, 35,000, 1 plus. Now, what is I equal to? Let's go back to, we know J is 4.25. What else do we need to know? We need to know M. And how many compounding periods per year? If it's annual, how many is there in a year?
12.
Just one. So I is going to be equal to 4.25, should say percent, divided by 1. So that's fairly easy. 4.25%. So 0.0425. And now we need to know N. And it's annual, and it's 3 years. So 3 times 1 equals 3. So we can fill in our equation here now. 0.0425 to the power of 3. And let's see what that actually equals. And we're getting 30891.56. And so now when we add those two together, let's get rid of this. $30891.56. What do we get? So should we take the 50,000 today or the 20,000 and wait for the 35,000?
Take 20,000 for now.
That's right. According to the numbers, they say we should wait for the 35,000. I, on the other hand, would say, give me the money now. But nonetheless, the numbers say, wait. And so to a large extent, a lot of these questions dealing with compound interest are questions involving where you're just moving money back and forth through time. And the whole point to it is that you cannot compare two values at two different points in time unless you move them to the same date. Quite often, the date that you move them to, right, this date that we moved all the money to is referred to as the focal date. When you're moving money around, it all has to be on the same date in order to compare it, which is what we did here. We focused it all on that one day. So, I don't know if you have any other questions. You may have more questions on Monday when you've struggled with the homework for a while. But for now, I'll leave you there and let you begin to tackle the course. There were several people that I said they should hang on and will help, hopefully will help people get connected to Moodle. So if you're one of those people who are not connected to Moodle, let me look at my class list here. I had Dominique Pauline Avilia. We're going to have to figure out why you couldn't connect if you haven't managed to. And Rupinder Kaur and Inderjeet Singh. Did Manmeet Sharma ever manage to join us? Okay. I didn't see whether he or she managed to join us or not. So, Dominique, do you want to share your screen and show us
Actually, sir,
how
I
you're trying to
think-
connect? What's that?
I got connected already with the course.
Oh, okay. So you're connected to the Moodle site?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
that's good. Rupinder, how are you doing?
Well, sir, today I've tried many times through my BCC login ID, but every time it showed invalid passwords and invalid username.
Okay, I'll give you the phone number for the IT help desk. They will help you. You might have to wait a long time, especially at the beginning of the semester. Everybody who's having problems will be phoning the same number, but I'll give you the phone number and let me know tomorrow if you manage to. Let me just write this phone number down.
Okay, sir. At the afternoon, I tried on that number and they do not replied till now.
This number,
Yes, sir.
604 443 8700.
Yes, sir. I tried to call, and they said they recorded my call and then replied after some time, but they did not reply yet.
Oh, did they, but they said they would reply,
Yes, sir.
but they haven't yet.
Yes, sir.
No. Okay. Let's talk again tomorrow if they haven't contacted you. Because I know for some reason, at the beginning of every semester, they're tremendously busy. Because for some
Or-
reason, a surprisingly high percentage of students have problems with their logins. I'm not sure why that is, but it's always a problem, especially in first semester. A whole pile of people don't manage to connect. So wait and see if they call you. And if not, send me an email tomorrow and we'll try and see if we can do anything else. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
And Indrajit,
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good. What have
Uh,
you done to try
even
and
I'm-
connect to Moodle?
Sir, even I'm facing the same problem as Rupinder.
And did you phone that help desk number?
Not yet, sir. I just got the number. I will call them today.
Okay, did you write the number down? You've got it?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
If
sir.
it's a
Uh-huh.
problem with you not being able to get onto, if your password just isn't working, then the first thing you have to do is talk to the people at the help desk. And they're usually very helpful, but they're really, really slow about it. They just seem to be very busy. I don't envy them their job. So, both of you, Rupinder and Indrajit, send me an email tomorrow giving me an update on what kind of luck you're having. Because you're really
Sure, sir.
up against a wall if you can't get onto the Moodle site. You can't start any of your courses. So we'll have to make sure you can get onto that. Any other questions before we say goodbye for today?
Sir, you are recording this lesson, right?
I am recording it, yes.
Can we get it for future reference if we need it?
I will try and figure out how to do that. I haven't had
Oh.
much luck with the recordings. It says recording, and then when it tries to compile it, often it doesn't work. But I'll try and see whether that'll work now. But
Okay.
yeah, I hope to be able to record all of them.
Okay, sir.
I will send out another Zoom link specifically for the Monday morning class. Right, because we're gonna have a class Monday morning from 9 to 11. I'll send out a Zoom link for that. So any other questions that you can think of asking? If you do,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
I am Subbir. Have you marked my attendance? Sir,
Yes.
due to some due
As
to internet problem.
as people were coming into the class, I recorded all the people that I saw, but I missed some. And so then I just verbally asked about the ones that I missed. But the only person who wasn't here today is Manmeet Sharma. Does anybody know about anything about this person in the class you had on Monday? Does this person exist? I think this person does exist because they've signed on to Moodle. So I'll see if I can find out why they didn't make it to the class, but I'm fairly sure they exist because they've signed on onto Moodle. So I probably will not take attendance at every class. The classes are not mandatory. I just, of course, feel that it's useful to be here for you. And I kind of hope it is. Otherwise, they're paying me a whole bunch of money for nothing, which is okay, I guess. So, any other questions?
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Sure.
So our class will be changed to Monday?
Oh, no, our regular class is Tuesday. Monday is just office hours.
Office hours. So if I have a question, I can come and ask question. But if I don't need to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
Okay.
don't need to be there. Just I find that it's better if you have a set time that you know that I'll be there. Because otherwise we end up playing a lot of phone tag and not connecting. But you know 100% Monday from 9 to 11, I will be there and I'll answer questions. But you don't have to be there if you don't have questions.
Okay.
Our regular class is still Tuesday from 9 to noon.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions that you might have?
So we'll be getting the first assignment after this.
What's that?
We'll be getting our first assignment after this class.
Yes, on Moodle, I'll show you. We can go over there. Let's find it. So you can now see the project management screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so your first assignment is where it says chapter 1, and you have a homework assignment. And it's 10 questions, and you'll just try to answer all of these 10 questions. And then you'll oops. And then also in chapter 1, there's compound interest assignment 1.
Sir,
And,
the screen is stuck. Please scroll the screen.
oh, I see, nothing's happening. I see that. Your screen sharing is paused. I don't know why it does that. Let's try that again. So you can now see the chapter 1 page,
Yeah.
and you can see
Yes.
chapter 1 homework assignment
Yes.
and compound interest number 1 homework assignment.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are your two, those 2 assignments are your homework for this week. And here's a whole bunch of examples dealing with chapter 1. And you want to print out the formula sheet for, see this under, can you see now compound interest formula sheets?
Yes.
Yes.
It says compound interest formula sheet, assignment number 1. In brackets, chapter 9. Print out that formula sheet. It will help you a lot. And you want to read chapter 1 and chapter 9 to help you make sense out of all this material. And then by next Monday, you should have lots of good questions.
Sir,
By
can you
next
please tell
Monday.
us-
What's that?
Can you please tell us how to submit the assignment?
Oh, when you, let's go into homework chapter 1 here. And then for me, it just says preview, but for you, you'll actually do the assignment. You'll put an answer in. You'll go next. Is it changing from page to page? Next. Next. And then you'll put in answers. Next. 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 And then next. And next. And then down here it says submit all and finish. That's what you'll click. Can you see the submit all and finish?
Yes, sir.
When I do it, it tells me confirmation. Once you submit, you will no longer be able to change your answers. And then it'll tell you how you did. Needless to say, I did badly because I didn't put in any answers. And then you'll go finish review and you can try it again. Once you see what you did and you look at the answers and try to figure out why their answers are different than your answers, and then you can try it an unlimited amount of times. I know that sounds like a good thing, but it's a terrible thing because you'll spend half the night trying to get 100%. It's much nicer when homework is on paper. You write your answers on the paper, you hand it in, and then you can go for a beer and relax. Here you have to keep trying it again and again. So that's all there is to it. You just hit that submit button at the end.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
So,
I'm Harpreet.
what was the deadline? If you look on the schedule of due dates, you'll see the deadlines. As we've put the office hours on the Monday, I'll probably accept the homework after you've had time to ask questions about it. So don't worry too much about the deadlines on the schedule of due dates, because I'll make the deadline sometime after you've had time to ask questions and then go back and work on them again. Someone has suggested submitting them by next Tuesday morning. That would be good. That would be perfect. Because then you'd have Monday to ask questions about anything you didn't get and Monday evening to try and complete them. So, any other questions you can think of asking? I'm sure you will have questions as the course rolls on, but now it's all a bit of a blur and you're wondering what you've got yourself into. And you got what, four other courses that you're also trying to deal with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I can only wish you good luck. I can tell you, don't study any of those other things, just work on math. Math is more fun than all those other courses anyway.
Hi, sir. I just have a quick question. Is it the timing every Monday? Is it a regular schedule for consultation?
It is for now.
So it will be every week.
It'll be every week. If enough people say that doesn't work for them, we can change it.
Okay.
But right now, Monday looks as good as any other day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it could be on the weekend if that works better for people. I don't really mind, but for now, we'll leave it at Monday. And I'll send out a Zoom link listing all of those dates.
Hello, sir. This is Elsie. I just want to make sure that except homework assignment, we should also do practice, right?
Oh, you can do the practice, but only if you want to. They're not, you
Okay.
don't get marked for them.
Okay, sure.
There's tons of practice questions there, but they're only for basically for practice, not for marks.
So it's optional.
Yes, optional.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, some people do them, some people don't. It's just really up to you. So in that case, I will wish you good luck and I'll say goodbye. Have a nice
Thank
week.
you, sir.
See you
Thank you,
Monday.
sir.
Wish you
Have a
the
nice
same.
day.
Thank you, everyone.
And if you have questions, send me emails.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
Okay.